You're watching On the Inside, episode 3, brought to you by Gatorade, joined again by two-time Brownlow medalist Lachie Neale. Loch, Cripper can't help us today. You must be a little flat with the loss to the Lions on the weekend, but how was it playing against your old mate?
G'day, Tommy. Always good to see you. It was good. It was a pretty fierce contest. It felt like a pretty high-pressured game early on. We were lucky enough to get a bit of a jump and a bit of help from the umpire. I think one of their boys run into an umpire and we got a goal early to give us a nice little cushion at the start. It was, and then from there it was pretty even. I felt like we played some good footy until three-quarter time and then let them kick a few at the start of the last. I think we got some looks late, but missed a few opportunities. It was a good win. We felt like it was a bit of a danger game going in. Clearly Carlton have been under the pump for a good month or so now, and sort of felt like we had to be on our game to get it done. They're a really good contest and clearance team, and that usually holds you in pretty good stead. So I think we ended up getting beaten pretty badly in contested ball, but I thought our stoppage stuff wasn't too bad. And we moved the ball quite well and were able to score off turnover pretty well. So a good win for our boys, and move on to a big game against the Dogs. So you guys had a pretty good game to watch against Gold Coast. It was probably not so great for you guys early on, but the comeback once again from the Pies was pretty epic, and then they were able to steady. How did you find playing Goldie and that game?
Yeah, you were spot on. The first half wouldn't have been great viewing for Pies fans, but a tale of two halves, wasn't it? The comeback was pretty special, although we didn't get the result. I think it still showed a lot of fight within the group, and you want to win every game you play, but I think just getting ourselves in a position where we hit the front to come back from not scoring a goal in the first half is something that we can still be really proud of. And a lot of Pies fans travelled to the Gold Coast. It was we still managed to get a Collingwood chant echo across the crowd at one point when the comeback was on, which was pretty cool in an away game. But there was such a big turnout of Pies fans, even at our hotel. I've never seen so many fans travel, and a lot of them must have been staying at the same hotel, because you'd come down to the foyer and there'd be sometimes, close to 100 fans there supporting us. So pretty cool. It kind of, when you speak to Josh Giddy on the Bulls, and he said that when they land in certain cities or they land home from an away trip, that they have fans waiting up at 2 a.m. just to get photos and signatures. So not that we're on their level, but it was great to see a lot of support from Pies fans while we're up on an away trip. But back to your game for a little bit, I did notice as well, Hugh McCluggage actually copped a tag, which is normally the attention you get. But how much does that help your game, having someone like him having such an awesome year? And then you got Ashcroft, Norm Smith medalist, you got Dunks, who won the medal for best on, such an evenly spread midfield.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of our midfield at the moment, is you can try and stop one of us, but we have plenty of weapons that are going to step up, and we share the load really well in there now. And Clug's obviously having an All-Australian type year, and he should make that team. He's been unbelievable for us. So he's stepped up his game both inside and out. Like, his clearance work's unbelievable. And then what he's been known for is his damage on the outside, Hugh McDamage. He's been going well. It's nice to have a bit of a free run at it at times. But I think, like, with Dunks winning the medal, he's always going to do his thing. He's so good both sides of the ball. And then Will Ashcroft's come in and made an impact straight away inside. Like, we've got Levi, he's going to end up a inside mid, but he has to sort of play wing. We've got Zach Bailey that can float through there a little bit. He plays wing, half forward, sometimes a little bit around the ball. And then Cam Rayner as well, sort of pinch hits and does some damage too. So, we feel like we've built some really good depth through the midfield, and it's really hard for opposition teams, I would have thought, to sort of scout and figure out how to stop us, because if you do stop one, the others are going to step up more often than not. So that's been great. And it was back to your game, sort of going to and froing a little bit, but Josh Daicos' last quarter, like, that was crazy to watch. Everyone, and rightly so, talks about Nick a lot of the time, and I think Josh has been spoken about a fair bit lately as well, which he deserves. But that last quarter, that was crazy. Usually you expect that from Nick, but Josh sort of stepped up and playing as an inside mid. That was good to watch. I'm sure you sort of saw it from a pretty good angle as well.
Yeah, I didn't realise the numbers during the game, but we saw something pop up. His stats in the last quarter: 16 touches, 2 goals, 1. If you kick 16 and 3 1/4, it's almost the best quarter of all time. So He had an awesome quarter. Just his movement, that's the one thing he does really well. Even if you watch him at training, his straight line, he's not super fast, but he's so evasive in the way he swerves. And we've sort of talked about this in some of the drills and skills content that we've done, having the ability to get your opponent chasing you off balance by turning your body and manoeuvring. He's the best I've seen at that, I think, him and Nick. So, yeah, it was an incredible quarter, and yeah, he almost put us on his back and helped us win the game. But it was great to see him add another string to his bow and play that role. So I did notice as well, you touched on, as we are toing and froing, back to your game again, but you mentioned the umpire contact, because there was 2 incidents of that in the game. Did you notice that, because it is quite topical at the moment, did you notice the incidents in game itself, or you saw them post game? Because it is something we need to be aware of as players.
Yeah, I noticed the first one, where the Carlton player, I'm not sure who it was, ran into the umpire. I was set up in like our zone on the 45, so it happened pretty close to me, and I sort of tried to sniff out a goal and took off forward pretty quick. Didn't get on the end of it, obviously, but I noticed that one, and that one sort of, I don't know what you can do about that, but
it looked accidental. I think both were accidental. It's just how they look at it. Obviously, you need to be extra aware of what's in your vicinity, but I think both incidents were very accidental, as all incidents generally are. No one's intentionally trying to bump the umpire, but we just need to have an awareness of it.
Yeah, I think it's important to know where they are and where they're shifting out of, and they're pretty good at telling you where they're moving out of, so we should be across it. I didn't see the Chera one until after the game, and he was playing on me at that point, and I think I was trying to block Chincotta from Huey, so I didn't actually see that one at all. I didn't know until after the game, but yeah, I've seen the vision. I sort of changed direction. It looks like he keeps going a couple of steps backwards into the path of the umpire, but I think that's going to the tribunal. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. That's just unlucky. I don't think Ches can do too much about that one either. It was he didn't know that he was back and back there, and yeah, unfortunately they collided. I don't know if it was with too much force, but I think he's had a few of those. I've had a couple as well. We probably all have had a couple.
Yeah, I've had a couple too. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's good that it's on the agenda, make the players a bit more aware and maybe be a little bit more careful. It sort of seems, since we've spoken about it though, that it's happening more, but I'm not sure if that's just because we're aware of it though.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the times it might just be a clip of the ankle, but we do understand, the umpires are probably smaller in stature, and especially with their backs running out, if you hit with a bigger body, it can be quite dangerous. You mentioned Hugh McDamage again. I like that nickname. This is a bit of a left centre one, but is there a nickname that you've seen in footy that stands out to you as the best nickname in footy, whether it be Freo or Brizzy, or just a nickname you've heard that you just think that's the best you've heard?
I've
put you on the spot here. I'm trying to think myself. I reckon I might have a few if I really think about it.
You've got a few. I'm trying to think as well. I feel like as footballers, we're pretty original. It's a lot of the time it's the last name's just shortened or something, like Josh Dunkley is just Dunks. We put a Y on the end of everything. Huey.
Yeah.
Ashy, Washy.
Yeah.
Washy's pretty good with his app.
Yeah, Wash app, yeah. Nick Daicos, whisper flies under the radar. That the old tale is whenever he would walk into a room, everyone would whisper, "Oh, there's Nick Daicos," and so whispers.
Is that why he gets that?
I think that's why. I'd have to confirm, but that's the tale. So let me confirm with him at training today.
That's pretty good. I've got to ask Dunks this one actually, because he played with this guy, but I've heard that Jack McRae's nickname is Nader, and I've heard that
called on the field a lot. Yeah, I wonder what that is.
Nader. So yeah, we'll try and get to the bottom of that one, because it doesn't go with anything with Jack McRae. So
yeah,
I'll
come back to me on that one. Back to the footy though. Did you watch much footy on the weekend? There was a few other results which are really shaping the top 8. The Freo Hawthorn game was a pretty close one. Went down to the wire. The Crows beat the Bulldogs, who you guys play this week. So the top 8 is shaping up, it looks like. Are you keeping an eye on the ladder, or are you sort of focusing on just what the Lions have to do?
Oh, it's hard not to have a look at it and see where you sit and where your opponent for the upcoming week sits, and I try and watch a fair bit of the game for the opposition that we're coming up against. So I watched a fair bit of the Bulldogs versus the Crows, and Bulldogs are going to be a dangerous team this week. I think that they've dropped out now and they're sitting ninth, I think. So, yeah, it just shows how even it is that the top nine's pretty much set. I think Sydney can probably still make it if they sort of win out and a few results go their way. But so there's probably 10 teams that can make it at the moment. And it makes this last 6 weeks really interesting. It's so tight from second down to ninth. You guys have still got a nice little buffer. So, it's going to be a crazy 6 weeks. It's going to be lots of snakes and ladders and see where everyone finishes up. But, yeah, I think the Dogs, a dangerous side. Crows are obviously the big improvers. They've jumped into third, I think, at the moment and are playing some electric footy. And they beat us in Adelaide by 5 points a few weeks ago. So really rate what they're doing. It's going to be a tight finish, and everyone obviously wants a top 4 spot, get that double chance. So it'll be a fight down to the wire. So it'll be pretty cool finish, pretty entertaining. I think even in the last couple of rounds, there's some big games. I know we play the Hawks here at the Gabba in the last round, and we play Freo the week before. So that'll be 2 massive matchups. From here on out, I think we play everyone in the top 10. Our last 6 games are all in the top 10, so it makes every week a big battle.
We play you guys again at some point as well. I think we play the Lions at the G, so that'll be another big one as well.
Yeah, I think we've got the Dogs, Gold Coast, and then New Blokes, I think. So big
couple of weeks
for us. Yeah. Who have you guys got this week?
Fremantle this week, so they're coming off a good win against the Hawks. Did you see Andy Brayshaw's post-game interview have the blood pouring out of his head?
I didn't see it, but I saw a couple of the boys put on their Instagrams a photo of him. So I'll have to let him know about that. He would love that. Bit of showtime.
Yeah, and then he was singing the song of the circle, and he's still just pouring out blood. So the Dockers are, as you know, 2 quality midfielders, the ones that get a lot of the attention, Sarong and Brayshaw. But, the Dockers are doing some good things. Hayden Young, I really rate him. I'm not sure if he's too far away. I know he had a hamstring injury, but he's sort of one guy that really complements those two. He's got the run and dash to break the line. So it'll be interesting to see what team they're able to field this week. But similar to yourself, not looking too far ahead, but we've got some huge games coming up with Fremantle. We play at some point. I know we play the Hawks, the Lions, the Crows. So the top 8's really going to shape up over the next 6 weeks. And I guess recovery is a huge part of that as well, Locke, like the last 6 games and heading into finals. How do you look after your body from a mental and physical point of view post-game? Because, as we mentioned, getting yourself cherry ripe for finals is what you need to do. But how does post-game look for you, 24 hours post, 48 hours post?
Yeah, it's a massive part of the game now. I think when you first start, you're trying to figure out what works for you and your body and your mind, and you're still pretty young and you're figuring it all out. So probably took me a good 7 or 8 years, I reckon, to figure out what really works for me post-game, and I have a pretty good routine now on what that looks like. So post-game, whether it's win, lose or draw, I'd sort of let myself, I suppose, feel the emotion of whatever that is, how I've played, how the team's gone, to sort of let myself either sort of wallow for 12 hours or sort of glow for 12 hours if we have a win. So I sort of let that process happen straight away. And obviously in the rooms, jump in the ices, do a bit of stretching. That's sort of just a routine that I do post-game. And then I try and make sure I get some food in the rooms. I don't really like eating straight away, but I try and get something in. We usually have like pizzas or a burrito or something like that in the room. So make sure I'm getting that stuff in and obviously hydrating too. So a lot of water. Bit of
Gatorade as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, just smash whatever I can to get in. I've always got a couple of Gatorades at home and stock up the fridge there. And then the next day I actually jump in the pool pretty early. And this is sort of both physical and mental recovery. But I jump in and basically say to myself that I'm washing away the game from the previous day, whether it's good, bad or ugly, whatever happened in the game, jump in the pool. And then once I get out, I've sort of left the game in the pool, if that makes sense. It sounds a bit silly, but that's sort of how I mentally move on to the next week and start preparing for the next game. I think when I was younger, I used to get caught up in whether I played really well or played really poorly and let it linger for 3, 4, 5 days and let it carry on to the next week's preparation. So for me, it's a massive part of of my routine is to jump in the pool here at home and wash away the game. So whether I've had a really good game or played shocking, I leave it there and just stay level for the rest of the week. So that's a massive part of my preparation and leaving the week that's just been behind. And then I usually have a sauna as well
Yeah.
the day after a game, and just sort of get the body moving again, go for a walk with the dog, take Piper on a scooter and start to get the body moving again the day after. And that's sort of the 24 hours. Make sure I'm eating the right foods the next day. It's sort of the night of the game, I eat whatever I want, whatever I feel like. And then the next day,
a bit of a treat yourself. You know, I think you need that window to treat yourself because you're so disciplined throughout the week with your training, your diet, just to keep yourself sane. I find that I need to splash out and do something, but then you try and switch back on early in the week. But I love that analogy around getting in the pool and moving on to the next week, because it's something I still struggle with. You might have made an error in the game or a fumble or a mistake. I still find today that I hang on to those things, and like having something like that to move on. Like, how often do you find yourself being drawn back to, like, you've obviously found a strategy that works for you, but being drawn back to whether it was an error within the game that you would never normally make? You're like, and then how do you trick your mind just to move on again? Because it's something I still struggle with.
Yeah, I think I spoke to a couple of like sports psychs about that as well, because I feel like and you'd be the same, bit of a perfectionist. So if you fumble one or miss a handball that you usually hit, I used to sort of like think about that for the next 10 minutes in the game and then not really impact the game positively. So having like a trigger word or a trigger that you do, whether it's like I sort of hit my chest or I have a bit of a tick, I think, where I play with my hair, and I've learned to like use that as when I do that, brush my hair to the side, that's me moving on. So whether it's the next stoppage or a little stop in play, someone gets a free kick. Quite often, if you're watching really closely, you can see me do that, and that's a trigger for me to move on to the next moment.
I can picture you doing that. I can visualize you doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, I do it all the time around stoppages and stuff, and it's sort of just me moving on to the next play and what I've got to do to help the team. Because the more that you focus on your mistakes, you're actually hurting your teammates and not helping in any way. So that's something that I've learned, and it's really hard to do. And then post-game, obviously during the week we review some stuff, and I try not to put myself back in that moment and feel bad. It's more learning and teaching and growing. So not putting myself back in that state emotionally, but just learning from mistakes, which is important, but not going back and feeling bad about them because they're done. And your teammates actually, they don't care that you've made that mistake, even though you feel sometimes like you've let everyone down. Quicker you move on, the better. So have you found any strategies that work for you? Or
on that perfectionistic element that you mentioned, that's something that I've worked on with our psych, worked on as well, because I've found I used to do this really funny thing where I would get to quarter time or half time and almost count my errors in a perfectionistic way and be like, should have done that better, that better, that better. And I would actually, I would dwell on it, and it would affect me moving forward. She would say to me, well, exactly that. How is that helping you move forward? If your mind's half in that still, you can't be fully present in the next thing. So as much as you want to be perfect, it's just not realistic. And I think I don't have necessarily a trigger in terms of a physical thing I do with you, as you do with touch or anything, but I've got a few trigger words that I might use, something around my feet, something around finding some body contact that will naturally get me back into the state of moving on. So, but it's really cool to hear how other players do it and do it in different ways.
Yeah, I think it's probably something that took, once again, 7 or 8 years to get my head around and actually be able to use in game. Because I feel like when you're younger, you say, oh yeah, I'll try that. And then in the middle of the game, you don't do it for a long time. Like you have to teach yourself. So even doing it at training and practicing it at training is really important. So that's something that I've done for 10, 11 years, and now I'm pretty good at it, but it took me a long time to perfect that. So doing it at training really helped too.
Yeah, that's unreal. Some great insights, Locke. That's all we've got time for again today. We're looking forward to having Paddy back next week. This is only a one-off for him. They've had a training reschedule, which does happen in footy, we understand. So we'll have Big Paddy back with us next week. Another 5 episodes to come, which we're super pumped about, thanks to Gatorade. So thanks for jumping on, Locke, and all the best this week against the Dogs.
No worries, mate. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Tommy. Go well against my former club, the Dockers.
Sounds good, mate. Hopefully a few wins for both of us.
Cheers, mate.
See ya.